Control that remotely. Does that need to be closer?
Yeah.
Better. I want that seat.
What?
I want that seat.
You want this one?
Yeah. Doesn't need to be closer.
No, that's good. I just figured you sleep on that side of the bed, and you're pretty insistent about it. You'd want to be, on this side.
I'd rather be on this side over here.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Behind the camera.
Come over here.
I take it it's already recording.
It's already rolling.
Morning.
Morning.
Early for a Saturday.
I love how these chairs scrape against the floor.
It's pleasant.
See, now I put my slop bucket over there.
All right. Any other one? Watch you make the coffee.
That's pretty much it. Legitimately have not had coffee yet this morning. So
have to think.
you gotta give me a little bit. It's quiet around here. I like to stir.
Why?
Agitation extracts more, gets a more even bed of coffee grounds. You didn't really want to ask that question.
Legit.
And I'll usually give it a little spin. I got a nice even flat bed of coffee grounds, so everything gets extracted at the same time. There's nothing floating at the top.
This is why he makes the coffee in the morning and not me.
This is my favorite part of the morning.
But I'm usually upstairs getting ready.
I just
when you're
watch
doing
the
this.
coffee drip. It's beautiful.
Nobody around.
Nobody around.
Nobody talking to
It's
you.
quiet. Phone's not ringing.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
If it is, there's a problem.
And I just watch my coffee.
By the way, did any of you get nervous when your kids actually call you? Because that happened again this week. I knew my daughter was getting on the road to come home, and she called when I thought she was already on the road.
She didn't text.
She didn't text. She
picked
called.
up the phone and like there was voice.
So that just caused a moment of.
It's not so much when they call you; it's when they call me.
When they call you, I know it's a car accident.
Car happened. Something happened. Something bad. So I do 60 grams and every morning I'll do 60 grams of grounds and 900 grams of water. And typically I've got travel mugs, which are usually 16 ounces, but today we've got these legit striking FreshGround mugs. Aren't they fantastic?
We do travel mugs because I usually have to be at work by 6, which
Right.
he drops me off, and and we're out the door, so I don't. Portable breakfast. And
yeah.
Portable everything.
Yeah. But this morning we get to sit here on a wiggly barrel and make coffee. So, dear Krista, for those of you who don't know, this is Krista. You are higher than me.
Because I have better posture.
Probably. For those of you who don't know, this is my wife of 25 plus years, Krista. She is the better half of FreshGround. If you send an email to FreshGround, for the most part, you're either going to hear from Krista or Sarah if it's a nice response. If it's somewhat sarcastic and slightly mean, it's probably me. Probably because I haven't had my coffee yet that morning. But we've been running FreshGround for 6.5 years now. 6.5 years.
Yeah.
So she's typically the pretty face of FreshGround, where we have to, go to a farmer's market or do a demo at a grocery store or something like that. And it needs to be somebody that, people want to interact with and talk to and be nice to.
Like our kids.
Like that. Exactly. Me, I'm the back. I roast and bag and stay away is generally what I do.
You play that down. You do not. You meet all of our wholesale and all of our other customers that come in the store. They love you.
Our the brewer is at 4 minutes and 35 seconds right now, so it should be another minute. I usually look for my Chemexes when I'm doing this amount of coffee. I usually look for my Chemex to take around 5 or 5.5 minutes, depending on the coffee that I'm brewing. So.
When we're off running, that's my cup of coffee for the day. He runs it like an IV. So.
For the most part. It's almost ready. It's so close.
You're just going to watch it?
That's what I do every morning. So I just watch the water go down the Chemex. Okay. Seriously, you're upstairs getting ready, and I'm just staring at a Chemex. That's what I do. That's what I do.
Oh.
This is the best part about the Chemex. The cleanup is I just take filter out, dump it, and you got a great serving vessel. So I do like that about the Chemex.
It's also good for sangria.
In the morning?
Not in the morning. It's a really pretty dispenser for sangria.
You sound like a freaking lush.
No, it's just, it works really well. Thank you.
Now I'm wearing lipstick. Oh, we're so cute.
He can drink it straight hot. I have to let it cool for a second.
I got to get it in, get the coffee in.
It's hot.
You're talking about the coffee now, right?
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. So this coffee is, I'm going to get it back here real quick. It's an Ethiopian Guji that we've got in as a special this month. So it's a lighter, kind of light medium roast. It's along the same line as our Ethiopian Guji
It doesn't have that kind of, it's a different finish than the yurt. We
need to wait for that to cool just a little bit, right? Yeah, but that's really good. So we'll have that through the rest of the month. Everybody always wants to know what your favorite coffee is. What's your favorite coffee? And if you say Dunkin'.
No, not Dunkin'. Okay.
McCafe Caramel High Rise.
Oh man! Although there's worse out there than Dunkin'.
There's
definitely worse out there than Dunkin'. But my all-time favorite from the very beginning of your roasting and everything has always been the Honduras. That's always.
Hey, I'm repping my Growers First shirt.
You knew I was going to say that because.
Yeah. See, I knew I was going to ask you your favorite because I've asked you that before. You always say Honduras, so I said this morning when I was getting dressed.
Yeah. I do. I like the Honduras. It's good middle of the road. It's coffee. It's not. There's not a lot of bright. There's not a lot of dark. It's just middle of the road, good, even, medium coffee. We
go through that a lot. We use a lot of Honduras.
We use it in a lot of blends.
We use it in a lot of blends too. It's in our espresso blend. It's in our cold brew blend just because of that reason, because it's nice, smooth, even, right down the middle. Sometimes you don't want a real bright, fruity thing. You just want a little smooth, even thing. And since I only drink my morning coffee, I don't want to analyze. I don't want to have different flavors going on. I just want to have a good cup of coffee. Yeah. Well, the first cup of coffee is there for the effect. Legit. I mean. Well, it has to taste good, though. It's got to taste good, but you don't want like that transcendent coffee experience first thing in the morning. You save that for, your second through eighth cup of the day. Which I do. Second through eighth. Yeah. It's cooled a little bit. That's really good. I like that Guji. It's got some nice fruity, like a raspberry note to it, I think. And especially in the Chemex. The Chemex gives it a real clean flavor. I'm kind of wanting to try this in an Aeropress. I might do that next week. Do the Aeropress with the Ethiopian Guji. That would be fantastic. Do y'all know he keeps his Aeropress in an ammo box? Oh, yeah. Oh, if you haven't seen this, it's so cool. No. I'm gonna tease that one. I'm gonna leave that until next week. See, that's like a radio. That's like a promo thing. So you gotta come in next week. It's the tease. Yeah, you'll see my Aeropress travel kit. It's fantastic. Makes me feel very manly. We will not be taking that backpacking now. A little heavy. You're still taller than me. Can you slouch a little bit or something? I don't know why. Higher. As if I would have an issue with that. I don't know why. Anyway, so since you're here and you've been with FreshGround since the beginning, minus about 19 years, I thought we'd talk a little bit about kind of where FreshGround started and a little bit about what where the name FreshGround came from. Do you remember? It wasn't always coffee. No, it wasn't coffee. It started out, we were a coffee house music group. So Eric, those of you that don't know, I was a music minor. Eric was a music major. We met at Wheaton College and in the music department. Well, no, I can't say that. It wasn't the music department because we had classes together in music, but I was either skipping or you were sleeping. Yeah. So 8 o'clock in the morning. That was the one class we had together. Yeah, 8 o'clock in the morning we had history of 20th century music, which it's always a lot of fun to listen to like John Cage at 8 o'clock in the morning when you're a college student. So so actually we started actually talking to each other in a radio production class, and Eric actually had to. That is when cut and paste literally meant taking the tape and cutting and pasting it together, and so it wasn't Command C, Command A. Those are the days. So I'm kind of dating us now. So that was pre any computer. It was all reel to reel. So Eric was Eric kind of. I know we are old. Eric was kind of tutoring us through that class. So tutoring, yeah. So anyway, we have a music background. I sing and played the bass, and he plays the piano. And we had a friend of ours that played guitar, and we went around to coffee houses in the area, played a lot of gigs at 318 here in Geneva, and Arcedium in St. Charles, and a few other coffee houses. Four Beans. Four Beans. Four Beans isn't around anymore, but Four Beans is there. And that's where Hanson Chiropractic is right now. Yes. So we were having a brainstorm one night for a name for the band.
and we went through hundreds of different, coffee type related names and just. So
we should have been.
Well, I can't remember what the original suggestion was.
I have no idea. I can't remember that far back.
There was a lot of stuff. But anyway, so me, who was sitting there just listening to them brainstorming back and forth, and somebody mentioned fresh, and I thought of coffee, and I said, what about fresh ground? And that's there it went.
There you go. And then we decided to get into roasting because
just like that.
Just like that, yeah. Yeah, that was a quick decision. A few years later, we decided to get into roasting. People always ask me why I got into. Isn't it good when it cools a little bit? Nice, sweet. Yeah. Well, that's like distractingly good. Okay. So years later, we got into. I started. Everybody always asks why we got into coffee, or why I got into coffee, or why whatever. Why are you doing this? Mm-hmm. Is generally the inflection that it comes about with, and I always tell them, I used to be in the IT world, selling computers and networking and storage, and it was really cool. I remember one of the big sales that I made early on, I sold a terabyte of storage, just shy of a terabyte of storage to a customer. And a terabyte of storage and 2 servers cost them $900,000. No, I did not speak wrong. It was $900,000.
And took up a big room.
It was like a whole rack, and there were lights flashing. It was so cool. Took like 4 guys to install it.
Another way we're dating ourselves here.
And now you can go down to Best Buy and you can buy a terabyte of storage for $50. So it's a little hard to feed a family on a commission on a $50 sale. And the place I was working, our customers' needs hadn't really changed. That hadn't increased alike the same way. So decided there was something else to do, and I think we ended up fighting about who was going to get up at 4 a.m. if we started a cafe.
Not doing a cafe. People always ask if we're going to do a cafe. One, it's really, really expensive investment, and
it's an investment.
You can lose a house over that. And
yep.
And 2, I am a forced morning person. I am only a morning person because of my job and my kids. So. Yeah. Yeah.
So we got in a couple of fights over who was going to get up at 4 a.m. to open a cafe.
I don't remember there being an argument. I'm not getting.
No, but like we're here on a YouTube live thing, and we're married, and we have to pretend that we're doing like the husband-wife thing,
a talking agreement thing.
Yeah,
there was
the fighting. There had to be fighting. There always has to be fighting. So that's when I pulled the trigger and decided, hey, I can get into coffee.
Okay.
Is there whiskey? Is this the bourbon barrel aged coffee?
And no sangria in there either.
Last week I was here all by myself, and this is a lot more fun.
Yeah, was that when the camera was going like this?
Okay. No, that was before. That was a technical difficulty. My laptop's not going to go like that. Okay, so we talked about where FreshGround started. We talked about your favorite coffee. Mm-hmm. We continually talk about how awesome this Ethiopian Guji is. Mm-hmm. Really bright flavors to it as it cools down. I'm really digging this Guji in the Chemex. And I'm excited about doing it in an Aeropress next week. Did I mention that?
You mentioned
next week I'm going to do an Aeropress.
From your ammo box.
From my ammo box. From my Aeropress travel kit, which is so cool. So last week we also covered a coffee myth that a lot of people hear about. A lot of people say there's a myth going out that darker roast coffees have more or less caffeine than lighter roast coffees. And you can look at last week's live event about that where I go into that in a little more detail. But One of the other interesting myths about coffee is about a goat herder. Have you heard about you heard about the goat herder? It's really, myth, legend, whatever. It's kind of cool, but everybody talks about Kaldi, and he was an Ethiopian goat herder. I don't know, a couple of millennia ago, and he noticed supposedly that every time his goats ate the cherries off of this one particular bush, that they would be more active. So he picked the cherries off that bush. Theoretically, he brought them to the leader of his tribe, and his tribe got all mad at the tribe leader got all mad at him and took the cherries and threw them into the fire, and that's how we got coffee. And that is a fun story to tell, but it's basically total crap.
Well, they would have been green. They would have gone through their system and wouldn't have even been,
Yeah, maybe he picked up the coffee after the goats had ingested it.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first Kopi Luwak. Oh. No wonder the tribal leader threw it in the fire. He should have just stayed there and been done with it. But that's one of the legends about coffee. It is kind of cool that, to tell that story and figure out that that's where coffee originated. It's probably not based in truth. It's probably just a fun story to tell. But that's one of the coffee myths. Because nobody really knows where coffee came from. It's a plant.
Yeah.
It's a plant that was growing, but there is, and I'm going to get one of these in the shop. There's a cool poster that shows the migration of coffee. It did start. The first coffee plant was found in Ethiopia or in that Eastern African region. So that's kind of cool. And then plants literally migrated around the world. A lot of times people taking them on ships and replanting coffee plants in different areas of the world. So there's a very cool poster that I'll get out and probably put up on our blog sometime soon, and maybe even have it available for sale, or links to where you can buy it, because I know the Specialty Coffee Association has it in their shop, but it shows the migration of coffee around the planet and how it got from basically from East Africa all around the world.
It would be a great cool graduation gift for coffee lovers, Jake.
That's very cool. Oh,
Jake's
shout
parents.
out the name. It's too late. He's graduating today.
He graduated last night.
No, the ceremony's today too.
Oh, no, I saw cap and gown.
Huh? That was probably like commencement or something like that.
We'll have to look.
Yeah, we'll check it out. Anyway, so that's one of the myths about coffee that we've got. So that being said, I think that was all I was going to talk about today. Did you have anything you wanted to say? Shout out. You can follow Krista. You see how this table, I got to do something about this table, right?
It's not really table.
All right.
The barrel.
Yeah. Because it rocks.
We love our barrels.
We have lots of barrels. So you can follow FreshGround Roasting on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. On all of those, we're FG Roast. YouTube, just search for FreshGround Roasting. Of course, if you're watching this video, you've probably already found us on YouTube. So definitely hit the subscribe button. We do a lot of cool stuff. Just did a whole series of videos on different coffee drinks and how you can get to know if you walk into a specialty cafe and you have no idea what all those weird drinks are on the menu. It'll give you a little primer about what you're actually going to get, and just kind of make sure that if you order a macchiato at a specialty cafe, you know what you're going to get.
There's a lot of myths.
It's not going to be caramel.
There's a
great week. Good coffee.